viewers, and welcome to December's Earth Prediction Series reading with me, the final for 2014. So thanks for following along during the year and for the previous years, all of you who have followed. I really enjoy your comments and your input and your insight as well, as this has been a journey of exploration for all of us. So we'll take a look at the cards that have come out, and we see in front of us there the Tower card for the first one for the reading. I often think immediately of houses sitting up high on land, so sometimes this gives me the feeling of flooding, or because this looks like a castle, so you think of castles have moats, so then we think of water around the properties or the houses. So I do sometimes get the feeling of flooding issues with houses when this card turns up. I also get the feeling, because it reminds me of the older part of Europe, old stone castles, and for some reason I often think of Italy or around that area, Italy or France, and sometimes there's something that crops up there which can be weather related or quake related. So we'll keep our eyes on that one and see if Italy pops up on the international podium for one reason or another. Usually more geographically or weather related issues as opposed to people energies. The Tower can also just mean quaking in general, so we see buildings shaking, so I still think December there could be a few quakes around. Now the next card that arrived was the Home card, and I live in New Zealand, and the Home card to me represents the energies of my home or my part of the planet. So I often feel this card associates itself with New Zealand and our close neighbours, of which are Australia and the South Pacific Islands, including the likes of Fiji, Samoa, Niue, New Caledonia, Vanuatu. So all of those potential areas feel as though they're related to the Home card, and quite often it can be energies to do with, well, we see for a start, we see a fire there. So there can be issues around fires in any of these areas. I also often feel, because we are a very quakish nation ourselves here in New Zealand, we sit on the ring of fire, so we have quite an active earthquake zone. I do think of quakes. Now, as it so happens in December, there is quite a strong planetary lineup for the period of the month, and one in particular that seems to resonate somehow with New Zealand is the Earth, Sun and Mercury alignment. Now that's actually due on December the 8th. And when this alignment has occurred in the past, there have been some relatively large quakes in New Zealand. So there's a possibility we could see a quake here. And I sort of vaguely took a bit of a look into it, and it could be around a 6, and it might be not shallow but not really deep. So it could feel like a strong quake if we get one. Bear in mind, that's just if we get one. And it could be in the South Island. And it might be around about the 12th of December. And it could be during the day. But anyhow, that aside, sometimes you get those quakes anyhow and there's very little damage. It's just you feel the shaking and you know it's around. That's one of the messages in the card. And the other one is we see animals here. So we can also see yet again more animal connections for the month of December. We had so many strange animal die-offs in November, along with the culling of hundreds of thousands of birds due to a bird flu that had been picked up through the UK and Europe. We had mass whale strandings here in New Zealand and other places globally, fish die-offs. It's all still happening. So that seems to be a feel for that card. The next card that came out was the Body card, and it really hasn't turned up that often before. So the thing that I feel about this card is this is the inner workings of your body, your muscles and your ligaments and things like that. So I often think of that part of the body being hurt. So crushed, or stuck, or people's bodies being hurt one way or another. So there could be some sort of global event where there's a number of people who suffer a consequence that ends up with this result. And you could think of things like avalanches could create that, mudslides, rock slides, quakes, any of those sort of things could create that. Crashes, even car crashes, and being impacted in something like a train or a bus. So because the card has never really turned up, I haven't spent a lot of time focusing on its energies. The next card that arrived was the Sun, and we see the Sun as being sometimes related up in the harvest period, which is sort of up in the northern hemisphere, even though we are actually moving into winter up there and summer down here for the month of December. There is a feeling of harvest, so sometimes crops can be affected in this card when the energy comes, and we definitely look at the Sun, so we may see some strong solar activity, whether it's CMEs, ejection, filament activity, and also planet lineup. That's the energies that the card suggests. As well, there are children in this card, and this can be a happy celebrational card as well as events to do with children. Of course, we have the period of Christmas coming up for those people in the world who celebrate it, so there is December often gives us that feeling of happiness and love and prosperity and giving. So this card is a double message one. It does have that. But I do think of the Sun and how much he plays a part in what happens to us all on our planet. So planet lineups, the Sun, things to do with space. And the last card that turned up was the Beast card. And he has been around quite a lot this year. We think of volcanic activity, underground, like eruptions, fiery stuff underground. I often think of communist activity like in North Korea, leaders or politicians or leaders of countries that aren't particularly well liked sort of rearing up a little bit, causing a bit of activity. Definitely mountainous activity here, so whether or not it's volcanoes going off, erupting, or some sort of underground volcanic activity that we're unaware of, mountainous issues, and the feeling of being trapped. So given that it's the end of the year, I just thought I would pull one of the normal tarot cards out to see what the general feeling was overall for the month. And this card arrived, which is the Moon, and I found that quite interesting given how much I've just talked about planetary lineups and how I feel as if they're going to play a part for us in the season, in the month of December. And we see here again there's the Moon giving off quite strong energies, vibrations. We see animals and we see water. So I think it is a month that's going to be quite dominated by the events and cycles of activity that happen in our entire solar system and galaxy that actually push us and direct what happens here for us on Earth. And of course the Moon I think of as new cycles too, so we're coming into the new cycle for January for 2015, and we'll say goodbye to the energy of 2014, which has been a year of 7 vibrational energy, and we move into that energy and vibration of the number 8 for next year, which is quite a more upbeat manifestation type number. So everyone, thanks very much for listening. I hope you've all enjoyed the series of Earth predictions that we do together, and as I say, I love your comments. Keep them coming, and all your suggestions and your insight. Take care all, have a wonderful December and holidays if you celebrate holidays over this time. And thanks for watching. Much aroha.